Hey everybody, welcome back to One Seed, One World. If you could go ahead and subscribe to the channel, click like on the video, it would help us out a lot. But today we're going to talk about preserving your green tomatoes. We're getting to the end of the season. In many cases, depending on where you live, for your growing zone, you may have already had your first frost or maybe even your first snow. But I wanted to give you some tips today on, if you haven't quite reached that point yet, on how you can save your green tomatoes that are still on the vine. I mean, with winter coming, and the first frost, it could totally just kill everything off. And maybe you have tomatoes that are still on the vine that have not ripened yet. You haven't been able to pick them. You're waiting for them to turn red, and they're just not getting there. So, let me talk about how you can save them, because really you want to preserve as much as possible. You don't want to give up on your tomatoes yet, right? And you want to just beat back Mother Nature and just win. What can you do to save your green tomatoes? And maybe you have a lot on your vines that you want to get to. So now that it's getting later in the season, you might have cooler nights and slightly warmer days, but maybe even your days are cooler. Right now here we are in the 70s during the day and in the 40s though at night. And that's going to quickly change over the next couple of days. Right now it's almost like a fake out because it's supposed to be in the mid 70s today and tomorrow, and then it's going to drop down to some crazy cold temperatures and even be in the 30s at night. So we have potential of frost coming up. Now the first thing you want to do is look and see when your first frost date is for your growing zone. There's multiple websites where you can do this. All you have to do is just Google first frost date for my area on Google. It'll give you different options. You go to a different website and put in your zip code, and then it will tell you when your first and last frost dates are. So check your first frost date for your area. And then, you have to keep an eye on the weather and check and see when you think it's going to come. Look at your extended forecast and that kind of thing. So if you can leave them on the vine up until that point, but if you see frost coming, then once frost hits your tomato plants, most likely it's going to kill off the vines and damage the fruit that you still have on the vines, which is just very sad. Why? Why did you have to die? So there's all these different scientific processes that go on within the tomato that produce the ethylene, and that's what makes it turn red. And so I won't get into all those things right now, but you need temperatures that are actually above 50 degrees. And if they're lower than 50 degrees, your tomatoes aren't going to ripen. So what can you do to get them to ripen faster? Now, if you still have time before the frost comes in, there are a couple things that you can do out in the garden. You can prune back your plants, and I'll post a link below for a video that I did on how to prune your tomato plants. But you can do some pretty extensive pruning on your plant to make the tomato put its energy, or the tomato plant put its energy into making the tomatoes red. They will put more of their energy into ripening the fruit, basically, instead of growing out more vines. Secondly, you can cut back on any watering. If Mother Nature is cooperating and you're not getting a lot of rain, cut back on the watering. Again, that will stress the plant, and it's going to try to ripen up those tomatoes to perpetuate itself and get those tomatoes ripe so that the plant produces more seeds. So cut back on watering and pruning are two things that will help them ripen on the vine. Now, if you don't have enough time and you got frost coming within the next couple of days, the next thing that you can do is just pick all your green tomatoes. It won't hurt them. Bring them inside, and you can let them ripen inside. And there's a couple different ways that you can do this. If you have an overabundance of tomatoes that need to be ripened, that you pick all these green ones, you might want to store them in a cooler place so that this colder temperature or cooler temperature will slow the process of the ethylene gas that the tomato produces to help itself ripen. So, like if you have a root cellar or like a cooler basement, put them in boxes down there and check them every day if you want them to kind of ripen slowly over time. If you want to speed up that process after you pick up the green tomatoes and bring them inside, you can put them in paper bags, and the ethylene gas will be kind of contained in there so that they will ripen up a little bit faster, turn red faster, and then you can use them right away. So if you have a whole bunch that you want to can, put them in paper bags and they will ripen a little bit faster. Additionally, you can do a little bit of teamwork. There are other types of fruits and I guess really fruits that will that also give off this ethylene gas, so that if you combine your tomatoes with things like bananas, avocados, kiwi, mangoes, figs, there's all kinds of things like that. If you have some of those things in your house, group them together with your green tomatoes. That will put off more ethylene gas that will help speed up the ripening process and get you to where you need to be. But if you want them to be slower, then just put them in boxes, check them daily, make sure you don't get any rotten ones in there, pull out the ones as they ripen, and you can do it on a slower process. So, with big ag companies that are shipping stuff to like your grocery stores and whatnot, they often pick a lot of stuff that's unripe, and they will either put their tomatoes in like a chamber that has ethylene gas pumped into it to speed up that ripening process, or the reddening process really, super fast, or they'll put some sort of like synthetic chemical on it. There's different things that they do to make it so that it looks nice for the store. But what you end up with is a tomato that has not been naturally ripened and maybe just turned red. And that's why I like the tomatoes that you get out of your grocery store don't taste very good, because they're not really truly ripe. They've just been forced to be red and held to a certain point so that they can be shipped all across the country or internationally. And so it's no wonder why so many people get so angry and don't like the taste of store-bought tomatoes, why they taste just like crap. It's because they're not naturally ripened. But so in the case that what you are doing here is that you are naturally ripening your green tomatoes, and they can do that on the vine or off the vine. So when you go into the store and you see all these beautiful red tomatoes that are so perfect, don't believe the hype. It's all lies. It's all lies. They're not really truly good ripe tomatoes. They've been forced unnaturally that way. But you can make your own at home, naturally ripened, and still get those yummy, sweet tomato flavors that you've been getting out of the garden all summer without having to go and get those tasteless ones from the grocery store. So hopefully these tips were helpful for you. But if you follow these couple of things to ripen up your tomatoes, either on the vine prior to frost when winter is coming, or if you pick them green and take them inside, you'll be a hit. Everybody will be happy. You will be happy with the produce that you brought in, and your family will just think that you're a hero. And when you get all of these things, you're going to be walking in, with this big basket of produce and just looking like you really know what you are doing and what's going on. I hope that helped you with saving some of your tomato crop, and I hope that you are able to get them all in before frost comes. But whatever you're doing in your neck of the woods, in your greenhouses and in your gardens and your homesteads, I hope that all that's coming together fantastic for you, and I hope that you have a great day. We will see you again soon. Namaste, everybody.